Ow! Greetings, YouTube. This is DecKrash, better known as Brandon. I know I said that I would have something special for the next go-around, but something came up really sudden. So before I explain that, I want to show you two things. These books, The People of Pern and The Dragon Lover's Guide to Pern. For those of you who are familiar with a certain author named McCaffrey, then you know who these are. What these books are. They're symbols of my fandom for the author who really turned me on to reading science fiction. She died today. Came as a bit of a shock to me when I first read it. One of my friends had posted it on Facebook. Don't know what to say. I mean, I didn't look into all the details yet, but I felt compelled to make this video just to say that this is the reason. She was one of the reasons why I got turned on to reading science fiction as much as watching shows on TV. And her story writing is what compelled me to want to become a writer. For those of you who had never seen it, I have actually a series of videos that I did of me reading aloud a story that I wrote. And that's just one of many. It's really sad when you learn, that one of the people who were very influential in your life has passed on. It's so sad. It happened also when another author whose work I also deeply loved, and that was Octavia Butler, and she passed away. I think what was it? 2 or 3 years ago. I think in 2008. So that kind of affected me deeply as well. Well, she has a legacy of awesome work. If any of you have not read her Dragon Riders of Pern series, I highly recommend it. I suggest you start either with Dragonflight, which I think was her first one, or Dragon Song, which was a more compartmentalized story of a young girl named Menely. For those of you who don't know what her Pern series was, it's a futuristic science fiction story which is deceptively fantasy-like, in which it includes people who ride the backs of dragons. But as you learn Pern's history, these dragons were genetically engineered creatures by the original colonists of Pern to fight against an organism that falls from the sky as thread once every 200 years or 400 years, depending on the intervals of this red star that passes that the thread grows on. And so the Dragon Riders are the only defense Pern has against this threat, because they can fly up to it, burn it out of the sky before it has a chance to hit the ground, and they can teleport so they can avoid it very easily. And her stories are not so much about the dragons or the riders, but really about the lives of the people of Pern, both Dragon Rider and Commoner, and how a society bound to tradition slowly must yield to change. And her stories have very strong characters, very good characters, very incredibly well thought out characters. I never read another writer's books that had such strong characterization. Kevin J. Anderson comes close, but he doesn't have the intricacy that Anne McCaffrey does. So, and Pern itself is a really incredibly interesting and diverse world. She does a wonderful job of world building, from how society works and how the Dragon Riders fit into society and the different parts of society, even all the way down to food and clothing and music. It's incredible. So if you haven't read her Pern series, I highly recommend it. But she's also written other series like the Powers That Be series and the Acorna series, which I've read some of as well and really enjoyed. So, as a big sci-fi nerd, I have to say rest in peace, Miss McCaffrey. Oh, by the way, I even talked to her before for a brief period of time. It's very nice. So once again, I say rest in peace, Miss McCaffrey. You will be missed. So until next time, people, and I'll probably have something on a better note. So until then, as always, DecKrash, better known as Brandon. Stay lucky and stay blessed.